one of the questions we asked was, name a leader that you most respect. In 5 of the 11 nations, Bashar al-Assad came in the top 3. That was his standing in 2008. In 2011, the floor has fallen out underneath the government of Syria. When asked the question, on whose side are you, the side of the government of Assad or the demonstrators, the highest that the government of Syria receives is 15% in Morocco and 14% in Egypt. The negative ratings, the ratings with the demonstrators, on the other hand, is from a low of 83% in Morocco to 100% in Jordan. When we ask, can he still govern, the highest he gets is in the single digits. When we ask about the support for the demonstrators themselves and the issues that they raise, again, the numbers are in the 90% range almost across the board. Even in Lebanon, the demonstrators have a 98% favorable rating as opposed to the government, which is supported by 1%. The Lebanon numbers are instructive because as we look at the Lebanon numbers across the board, we find the Lebanon numbers are rather consistent with other poll findings that we have. 62%, for example, think Hezbollah has played a positive role in Syria, in its relations with Syria. 26% think that Iran has played a positive role, including a majority of people in the Shia community, while only 6% of Sunni and 10% of Christians. But when we then ask the question about support for demonstrators or the regime, you get this 1% with the regime and 98% with the demonstrators, which says that they're being consistent on everything, but on the issue of Bashar al-Assad, the floor has fallen out underneath the regime. He is isolated across the region, and people's sympathies are with the demonstrators. One last point that I'll make before I take some questions, which we'll take online as well as from you here, is with regard to the United States and its performance. The U.S. gets extraordinarily low ratings in Syria, not unexpected. It gets low ratings in the previous 2 polls we did for its behavior across the region. The only country that actually do about the same is Russia, which scores quite poorly, and Iran. Turkey scores well across the board, and Saudi Arabia does well everywhere but in Lebanon. The cautionary note: this is an issue that is best solved in the region. I don't think there's any tolerance for a U.S. role that would be one, for example, envisioned by some of the candidates for president who want the president to do more, be more aggressive, and or to take some hostile action against the government of Syria. The government of Syria seems to be doing just fine, isolating itself, if that's the goal, is to get regime change. I think the mood in the region and the mood in Syria is moving in one direction. I think the U.S. would only be a negative factor in this process, and the numbers seem to indicate that. So I'll stop there and take any questions that you might have. Yeah. Yes.